This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, here on June the 3rd, 2022. And folks, the Gate is celebrating its 35th anniversary this year, and we're going to be celebrating that. Also, I'm going to be turning 50 this year, and of course that means, talking about the 50th anniversary of the Gordon Pinsent film, The Rowdyman, as well. So I have a guest. I'm going to be jogging her memory today. She's out of one of my favorite places, Toronto. Folks, I give you Linda Goranson. How do you do, Linda?
I'm great. It's nice to be here with you.
Yeah. What's it like in Toronto right now? Because I'm looking forward to making 2 visits this October.
Oh, it's at the moment, it's stunningly beautiful. The sky's blue, the sun's out. It's fantastic. And it's not muggy, so it's great.
Yeah. I work as a cleaner here in Fredericton. Do COVID cleanings at the hospital, and
Oh,
I
wow.
was so happy to get that job because I'm able to
How
have
is
some
that?
financial.
What do you do? COVID cleaning? What is that you do
I don't
exactly?
do strictly COVID cleaning. I'm on housekeeping there, but we do a
Okay.
lot of COVID cleaning, where we gown up and and put mask on and
Wow.
stuff. And yeah,
Wow.
but I
Wow.
mean, it gives me some financial stability since my cat won't get a job. And but it's a great job. I'm glad to have it. But I'm thinking sometime down the line, I'm like, could I possibly make Toronto a permanent residence? Because I'm going to tell you my backstory with Toronto.
Okay.
I'm going to turn 50 in July.
Right.
I've lived here my entire life,
Okay.
and I would get homesick just going to St. John or Moncton to a concert.
Right.
So I didn't travel outside Fredericton very often if I could avoid it.
Right.
And when I started this podcast in 2015, a guest I had on twice, Lisa Langlois of the movie Class of 1984. She just moved back from Toronto, moved back from Los Angeles in 2017, and we got talking about travel, and she asked what was stopping me. And then she made the pitch, she invited me to assist her at her table at Horror-rama 2017.
Oh,
And
wow.
I couldn't say no to that. Um, I was scared to death of the thought of traveling until,
Really?
yeah, until I actually did it.
What was scary? Like being on a plane, being in a car? What was
No,
scary?
I don't know. It's just being away from home.
Okay.
Now I'm, as Lisa's son had put it to me, he said, now I'm vacation sick because now I kind of look at Toronto like home now.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
it was an interesting story because my dad just passed away in April from an 8-year
Oh,
battle with ALS, and
oh, I'm sorry about that.
he
That's
went
tough.
he went to be with God. And but I remember that first year I went to Toronto to avoid leaving my car at the airport, which would have cost me money. I left it at my folks' place, and my parents drove me to the airport. So my brother has driven me subsequently after that, but I it was nice that mom and dad saw me off that first time. But I took Porter Airlines.
Right.
I love Porter Airlines.
They're
See,
great.
I've never done WestJet and I've never done Air Canada yet, but Porter Airlines I did. And I remember I took Gravel before I went on because I'd never flown before and I was nervous about it. But you know what? It actually felt like a bus in the sky.
Yes.
I got a big rush out of it, especially taking off, as it goes slow and slow and slow and then slowly takes off. I actually kind of dig it. And we landed in Ottawa and people got off and people got on, and then we went to Toronto. And we landed on Toronto Island, Billy Bishop.
Yeah.
And I've never landed in Pearson before, but I have landed in Toronto Island. And it's the first time since the 80s that I've seen escalators because we don't have them here anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they went the way of the drive-in back in the mid to late 80s, disappeared. So I just remember Lisa calling me and giving me instructions of where to go and what to do. And I took the shuttle bus and I met her at Union Station.
Right.
And she gave me a little tour around, and she taught me all the ins and outs on how to use the subways and the streetcars. And I enjoyed that. I gotta admit, she taught me well because now I'm able to get on the subway there and know what I'm doing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I always connect with Lisa every time I go to Toronto. So I always save up my scene points at the movie theater for I rack up the free movies. And I always tell Lisa, I said, pick some movies we could watch, and so I've remained very close friends with her ever since, so
Oh, great.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we even exchanged Christmas gifts. I got a cat stocking here that my cat really doesn't like, but I like it. He liked the treats that I put inside it every year, but it came with a little Santa beard and hat, and I put it on the cat. The cat didn't want to wear it. But I have to admit, when I get off that plane, get up to that surface where the streetcars were, I mean, we got some tall buildings here, but nothing like Toronto. It
Oh,
was like,
especially they're going higher and higher and higher and higher.
and here's something strange that's happened. I get homesick going to Moncton or St. John. Toronto, I didn't want to come home.
Wow.
How
Wow.
how strange is that?
That's, you got a whole new chapter in your life coming, obviously.
I loved it. And I'm going to Horror-rama this year. First time in 2 years because COVID prevented it the last couple of years. And I'm going to do Frightmare in the Falls for the second year.
Wow.
And yeah, Lisa and I made a road trip out of Frightmare last year, and we're going to do it again this year if she's her schedule's open for it. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I love that. Have you ever met Lisa?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
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 Love
She's
Lisa.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. We went around all the filming locations for Class of 1984, and because that's the movie I first identified her with when I was
Right.
back in the 80s. So it's
Right.
a real treat to be friends with her, and
Right.
she asked me a lot of questions. We went to a restaurant. I forget which one now. We went to a restaurant. She asked me a lot of questions about the Maritimes and New Brunswick, and I remember during the conversation, I was a bit distracted by the fact that why aren't I homesick? And
Wow.
believe me, that was on my mind. It's like, was there something in those gravel pills?
Wow. Wow.
But
Yeah.
I think of Toronto every single day,
Wow. Well,
Yeah,
Fredericton's pretty nice. I did a play there years ago and I was there for like 2 months, I think, and I had a wonderful time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lynn Griffin from Black Christmas had told me that she had her first taste of sushi here,
Huh.
So I'm like, okay. Yeah, but I love Toronto, and I haven't gone anywhere other than Toronto. I mean, I just made it to Toronto, so it's, it's a process for me. But I am planning to do 2 trips this fall. I got my plane tickets all paid for, so yes.
So you'll be on your way. Next
Yeah.
thing you know, you'll be flying to Europe and South America and Asia and all over the place. Or maybe not.
Well, you know what? I said I'd never travel, period, and I ended up going to Toronto. So right now, when you say that, I'm saying, nah, won't happen. But you know what? I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, the possibility's there, I guess. But I do know that you were at Horror-rama one year, and it was one of the years they have it listed now. I love it when Horror-rama does this. They have this backlog of previous years, and I went to my first one 2017, but they've been going with Horror-rama since 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, and you were listed with one of your Gate co-stars for was it 2015 or 16? One of them.
I can't, I don't know the date. I don't know, but it was loads of fun. I've never been to one before. It was crazy.
Well, I met Lynn Laurie at the 2018 one, and she had a blast at it. And jeepers, the guy's name is escaping me. The guy whose head exploded in Scanners, he had never done one before, and he had a blast. I love the convention scene. I had such a great time at those, and it's so inclusive, and that first year I was at Lisa's table with her, helping her. I remember I arrived there on a Thursday, and I met up with her. Actually, I met up with her on the Friday before the event because um I wanted to see if she wanted help with her carrying her stuff, because she was getting her photos done. But it also gave me an opportunity to see more of the city.
Right.
Yeah, because we don't have subways here either,
Right.
so yeah. So I had a lot of fun at that first con I went to, and I kind of got addicted.
Good.
Have you done cons since?
No, that's my first and only. I got asked to do one. I think I've been asked to do two since then, but I was out of town working, so I wasn't available. But yeah, sure. I'd love to do them again, because it was, I mean, where else do you see people walking around with axes in their head and blood ripping down their legs? And I mean, it was just, you can buy pencils stuck into eyeballs, it's just the craziest, most wonderful place.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. I remember the first year I went, um, I was wearing a t-shirt of A Clockwork Orange,
Oh,
and
yes.
this female dressed as a demented clown tapped me on the shoulder, and she said she loved my shirt, and I said thanks. And she rolled her sleeve up, and she had the Clockwork Orange poster tattooed on her arm.
Wow. Wow.
That was pretty
Wow.
cool, when
Yeah.
yeah, I really liked it. And of course, Chris Alexandra and Louis Cerez, they run and operate that. I've had Louis on here a couple times.
Mhm.
Chris, shame on him, he hasn't gotten on here yet, but I but nonetheless, I've had Lewis on here a couple times, but I love that event, and I so look forward to going back again. So yeah, so. And I did
Good.
Frightmare in the Falls for the first time last year, and that was pretty cool too. So
Okay.
yeah. No, here's a question I ask all my guests. Um, what's the most interesting thing you've ever been asked to sign?
To sign.
Hmm.
I don't think I've had anything spectacular to sign. I mean, when I've had maybe somebody's cast, but that's about it. No juicy stories from my signing.
I'm right now looking at, yeah, you were there for 2016. You were there with Jonathan Lyer.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him. Was he in the gate as well?
Yes. He must have been one of, yes.
Okay. And Dretta I've met before, never had her on here. Ellen Udy has been a guest on here a couple times though. I love her.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, outside that, it was a good bunch of people that were there that year.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you had fun at that. I hope you get to come back and do another one.
Me too. Me
Yeah,
too.
they're a blast. But anyway, before we get into the gate and a couple of your other films, I would love to hear about your background and what got you into the business.
Oh, well, I started drama classes when I was 5, and I never ever wanted to do anything else. I always assumed everybody at 5 knew what they were going to be, which of course it turns out isn't true, but I never wanted to do anything else. So
Mhm.
I did classes, I did plays, I started doing television. I think my first television, I was maybe 14, 15. I became professional at 15. And
Wow.
I actually had a radio show myself when I was about 10 or 11. I had to give reviews on books, and pretty well it seemed to be the Hardy Boy and the Nancy Drew. So every week I'd read a different Nancy Drew or Hardy Boy. But I've always just loved the business, loved it, loved being an actress, very lucky.
Radio is fun. I still do my show at CHSR. I do my live show Sunday night. I used to do my interviews from there until COVID hit and the
Right.
station went into lockdown.
Sure.
It was one of my guests, Nancy McLaughlin, who was on Friday the 13th part 6, who suggested Zoom, and I haven't looked back from Zoom, so now I can just take the interview on flash drive down there, stick it in their thing, and play the interview. So
Oh,
works
wow.
for me.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
don't have to call to see if the studio is available for me. I can just do it here. It
Right.
works. But but yeah, 5 years old. 5 years old, my thoughts were staying home, especially when it came to school. I was not a fan of going to school.
Ah,
Yeah, but obviously you had that outreach and that love to do it, so that is awesome. But I know before we get to the gate, I want to talk a little bit about the Rowdyman, which came out 1972, the year I was born, and
oh,
we have the Silver Wave Film Festival here,
mhm.
and in November. I haven't attended it in it's been probably a few years now because it usually goes on when I go to Toronto. Um, but I remember one year because I play a lot of New Brunswick-based films or stuff have a New Brunswick connection. But one time because they play some other Canadian films and whatnot, or
Mhm.
maybe one international film and whatnot in there as well. But one year the Rowdyman got played,
Mhm.
and I had never heard of Gordon Pinsent really until I saw this film, and I'm now quite familiar with him. But I just remember that, especially that opening scene when he's just running around, carelessly, and people chasing him and whatnot, and And I was like, okay, this is a fun little movie. What were your memories of making the Rowdyman and and working with Gord Pinsent?
Oh, it was just wonderful. We were out in I shot all my stuff in Corner Brook.
Hmm.
So I was there for about 7 weeks, but I was doing a CBC series in Toronto. So I was flying back and forth, but I was out there for most of the 7 weeks, and just a fantastic part, a fantastic bunch of people. Gordy was great. It was just, oh, I had Joey Smallwood made me an honorary Newfoundlander. So I was very honored about that. And
Hmm.
yeah, it was just a wonderful time.
Yeah, yeah, that played there that year, and I was like, I'd never heard of the film until then. So
Mhm.
yeah, but I'm now quite familiar with Gordon Pinsent ever since, So there we go. So a staple of Canadian film.
Oh, he's also a writer and a director, and he paints. I mean, he's extraordinary. I remember
Oh,
being over at his place one time, and he had made the dining room table that we were sitting at. Like, he's one of those multi talented guys.
it's interesting you say that because I had Peter McNeil on here last year to
Oh,
talk about the David Cronenberg movie Crash, and
great.
he's also a painter when he's not
Yes, he does
acting.
wonderful work. I know. I keep hoping to buy one of his paintings. He's amazing. Yeah.
Another guy who's into painting is Stephen Lack from the movie Scanners. I've had on here a couple
Okay.
times.
Okay.
And how cool it is, his wife is from Moncton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I haven't met him, but I've had him on here a couple times. We're familiar with each other, so he's had good things to say about our Beaverbrook Art Gallery here in Fredericton. So yeah, I notice a lot of people when they're not acting, they paint. I'm lucky to draw a stick figure. But I gave myself a little refresher on the gate last night and to give her a watch for this interview, and it's one of those Canadian staples, And 1987, I would have been 15 when that came out. I didn't see it that year, but I always remember vividly the scene where the kid that Terry sees the woman down at the bottom of the stairs telling him to come down, and they embrace. He ends up it was just scary, especially at the time. He discovers it was a dog,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know yeah, poor dog, poor dog. Everybody cared when he was gone, but whenever he was around the party, nobody wanted the dog around. I'm like, gee. So I mean, I it kind of put me in mind of something my dad had said before he passed. He said he didn't want to have a funeral. He wanted to be cremated because he said if people wanted to see him while he's alive, not when he's passed away, he didn't want to be bothered with the funeral, So I'm like, yeah, and I'm watching this last night, and everybody was caring about the dog when he passed, but when he was nosing around the party, they just wanted him out of there.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the cult status behind the gate here 35 years later? Because I hear that brought up a lot especially when it comes to Canadian cinema.
It's very exciting. I mean, I think when you work on a show, or at least when I work on a show, you never know, I have a wonderful time doing it, but you never know what's going to happen with it. So when I got asked to do Horror-rama and stuff, I was stunned and pleased, but you never know what show you do that's going to take off and become a cult thing. But I know at that Horror-rama, I mean, people would come up and they would quote things to me, and they would tell things from the show that I had forgotten. And it was quite exciting, you know? So,
It kind of had that. I kind of looked at The Gate as kind of a cross between The Goonies and Stand By Me.
ah,
Yeah,
oh, interesting.
yeah, it's like one of those coming of age films, only it's got demons coming up a hole in the backyard.
Coming of age with horror mixed in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love the dynamic, the relationship between um I'm not going I remember the kid Terry. Let me see here. Let me
And Glenn?
Glenn, that was the other kid. Yeah. I love the dynamic between them, but I also loved the sister, you know,
Yes.
and how she ended up
Mm,
having to take some responsibility
mm.
and come in out of her way. You see where here we are. Yeah, you play Terry's mom in the film.
Who
Terry,
turned into a dog? I turned into a dog.
yeah, yeah, that,
First and
that
only time I've done that. The first time I've ever turned into a dog, I must say. So far.
yeah, yeah, that scene I remembered very well because it was kind of a scary scene, you know.
Mhm.
Um, talk about how did you get the role in The Gate, and what was your reaction to the script?
Um, I get the role, I think, just auditioning, you know, like I do all the time, and you just hope. The script scared the hell out of me. But I loved it, and I was thrilled when I got it. But it was just a regular audition in the days. Of course, we don't audition like that anymore. We're doing self tapes at the moment and submitting them. But you know, we go into the room, and there'd usually be uh, 5 of us who were up for the part, and they'd all be my friends, and you know, we'd all hope that we got it, but hope the other people got it as well. And I ended up getting the part, and I loved it. But the script did scare me, I must say. I love
Yeah,
doing horror films, but they're really scary to watch.
oh yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, they show you have all that. I love the lighting around you. Of course, you're a
Oh,
vision that Terry sees, you know, and
the lighting was phenomenal. And I think, I'm not sure if there was a wind machine as well. I can't remember, but I remember the lighting was spectacular.
hmm
Spectacular.
yeah. No, I love the character dynamics, of course, and
Mhm.
I gotta look up the actor who played Terry because oh yeah, Louis
Louis
Tripp.
Tripp. Yeah.
Yeah, he made an impression on me in the film because he was the one, of course, the best friend who seemed to be figuring things out. I don't know what he was doing with that satanic record it is from, mind you. That was the kind of stuff we would have to sneak into the house when I was young, you know.
Right.
But I certainly didn't have anything that you could hear stuff playing it backwards.
No.
but but he was figuring things out, you know, and I even loved the part where they resorted to scriptures in the Bible to try to solve the problem because you know, why not, you know. So but Terry kept figuring everything out, you know, and it was pretty tense when he fell into the hole, you know. Although
Yeah.
quite frankly, I'm like, you know what, just keep stomping on. Trust, I think you're good, you know. You but that was pretty tense, you know. So talk about the young cast in the movie, and of course working with Louis Tripp.
It was great. They were great. I mean, I wasn't in for that many days. I think I
hmm
was only in for a few days or something, but they were fantastic. They really worked hard. They were really, the director, Tibor Takix, was terrific. So he he had a really good set. Like, it was fun, but it was very hardworking, which I love. So they were really committed to, the kids were really committed to the story.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I especially love also the dynamic between Glenn and his sister's two friends who weren't so bold by the end of the film.
Right, right.
Yeah, not bold at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Christina Denton playing Alexandra,
Mhm,
or Al, as they like to call her.
mhm.
Yeah, I really liked her in the movie, and I loved how she ended up stepping her game up, especially
Yeah.
after the dog had passed. So that was really good. Um, but I don't know much about the background of this film, but was that shot in a real house, like in the house, the hole in the backyard? Was that a set, or was that something they dug?
The hole in the background, if I remember, the interior of the house, which
Mm-hmm.
was where I was shooting, was inside a house.
Okay.
But they had built the whole background thing. Uh, they had built it specially. They hadn't found it. And I think, if I remember, there was a construction job going on. So they had to build up walls. So they didn't want anybody to be able to see it. But yeah, the inside of the house, which where I was shooting, was all on a location. I can't remember where we were shooting. Just outside Toronto somewhere.
Yeah. And of course, they take that big tree down. That opens the gate, of course, the roots.
Yeah.
I found it funny when that ball that contained the strange subject just kind of falls off the root, and I keep thinking to myself, what if they had a saw that and got hold of it before the kid, before Glenn did?
Well, maybe you could write part two, the gate part two, or the gate another version. You could write it. We can see what happens.
Well, there you go. There you go.
There you go.
You never know. They'll probably end up doing a remake of it, but I love the stop motion in it, especially that big creepy demon that was in it. But it kind of reminded me in a way of my love for the old Ray Harryhausen movies. So were you there for any of that, the making of any of those, or did you get to witness any of that?
Of the which movie? Sorry.
Of the gate, when they're doing the creatures up.
No, I was
No,
really sorry to miss that. I think I was working on something else as well. So no, the days I was shooting, they were just shooting interior and my stuff, but I missed all the juicy demon stuff, which I'm very sorry about.
yeah. Um, were you at the premiere for the film when it came out?
No, I
No?
was off doing something somewhere. No, I missed that because that would have been fascinating. It would have been great to see how an audience reacted to that.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, and I got a lot of nice memories of the 80s. And of course, the gate brings a lot of that back too. So
The gate brings nice memories back.
you know what? I have an uncle who owned
Terrifying. I think terrifying memories.
I have an uncle that owned a video store from 1981 to 1988.
Oh,
And when I
lovely.
see a lot of these movies, I'm reminded of that, you
Of
know?
that. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't remember when I first saw The Gate,
Mhm.
but reflecting on it last night, watching it, the one scene that stuck with me, of course, is a scene with you, the vision of you and the dog.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yep.
that's lovely. Well, I was so surprised at Horror-rama, the number of people that came up that knew it, knew me, knew the scene, just remembered that. I thought, wow, yeah,
Absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
lovely.
Another film I have to ask you about, because I saw this film down at the Monday Night Film Festival that goes. I haven't been at that for years too. I don't know whether they got dope. We're opened up a lot more here in Fredericton. The COVID restraints are lifted quite a bit. I can go to the mall without a mask on and go to the movies without a mask on.
Wow.
But I don't know whether the Monday Night Film Series is back open or not. But I remember one movie they played was Owning Mahowny.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I did watch that, and it's sad we no longer have Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was a
Yeah.
brilliant actor, I think.
He was just wonderful to work with. Boy, what a pro. He was
Hmm.
just, he was fantastic, just fantastic and so intuitive. I remember we were rehearsing a scene and he said to me, you want to say something else, don't you? And I said, well, the script is, this is the script. And he said, but I can see in your eyes, you want to see something else. He said, what would you say? And I said, well, what I would say is, and he said, let me go talk to the director. So he went to the director and he changed like Philip Seymour Hoffman had the line changed because something he'd seen in my eyes. Like I thought, wow, that's amazing. And there was one day when one of the actresses had a phone call with him and he wasn't called in that day. She was just called in to be on the phone and she was going to be doing it to the script girl. And Hoffman arrived and insisted they hook up a phone so she could actually be talking to him on the phone, even though it was a day off for him. And I thought, that's such a, like, he really was an actor's actor. And he was telling me he was about to do a play in New York with all kinds of big stars. He was doing a Chekhov play and he was really nervous about it. And he was just a wonderful, just so sad his ending, but he was just a wonderful, wonderful guy. Crew loved him, cast loved him. He was terrific, a real pro. Yeah.
I really love his work, especially with the Paul Thomas Anderson movies like Boogie Nights,
Right.
Magnolia, The Master, Punch
Right.
Drunk Love. What I find really cool, is that I went to Licorice Pizza last year,
Okay.
and Paul Thomas Anderson cast his son, or Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, in the lead.
Really? I didn't realize. Wow. That's wonderful. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
actually, give me a second. I got that right here. Because I didn't know this, but that's Philip Seymour Hoffman's son.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I went
Wow.
to this last year and I'm like, wow, he actually looks like his dad.
Wow.
But I didn't know that until I was reading up on the film when I wrote my review for it. And I was like, I think it's really cool that he got, because Philip Seymour Hoffman, I think, was in almost, if not all, of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies.
Wow.
So that must have been a major loss for him. And to get his son to play the lead, I was like, how cool was that?
Yep.
Yeah. But you got to play Belinda's mom in Owning Mahowny, which Belinda was played by Minnie Driver.
Yes.
So what was that dynamic like? Minnie is, of course, an interesting actress.
She's a force of nature. Yeah, I think she's done really well. I've been seeing her. I think she had a couple of TV series, I think, in the last or in the before times, before the pandemic. I saw that she was in a couple of TV series. So she's certainly carried on with a pretty good career.
Yeah. You've done some TV as well. Like I noticed, for example, I grew up watching The Littlest Hobo, so I'm
Oh, yes.
very familiar with that show. I
Yeah.
know when I interviewed Leslie Donaldson, she was in an episode of that as well. So
Yeah. It was really fun. And I remember there were I think there were 4 hobos there was the main hobo who looked really great. And there
Uh-huh.
was the hobo who had to go through the fire or get drowned and stuff. So there was one dog that did all that. It was like the stunt hobo. And there were like 4 hobos that did all different things. And we weren't allowed to pat hobo at all, no matter how great, because hobo was the star. So we had to steer clear, like we could talk to hobo, but you had to get very special permission for your character to pat hobo and things. It was really quite interesting. Hobo was brilliant, but I always felt sorry for the poor hobo, the stunt hobo that had to do all the mucky stuff, but it was great. It was another great set.
You know what's interesting? That reminds me of um, Conan the Barbarian. Had a lot of scenes in the battle scenes where you see horses go tumbling through some quite a lot of stuff in that battle scene, and I remember one of the stunt players was saying the horses were not harmed because
Yeah.
where the sticks are sticking out of the ground, the stunt player is going through them. The horse doesn't. But I noticed watching the movie not too long ago, you see the horses after they take their tumble, you see them kind of get up and just kind of shake it off and walk off. Um, the animals are trained to do certain things. That's pretty amazing. I
Yes,
know
my,
there's
my sister works with animals. She's ex circus and she does a lot of work, and they've got like, she lives just outside Paris, and they've got a stable with 30 horses, and they all do, each horse has its specialty of what tricks they do. But the animal rights people are very strict over the last many years that animals, I mean, the minute there's going to be an animal in stunt, they're all over movie sets just to make sure the animals, whatever they are treated really well. So usually it's pretty tight for that.
I can't blame them for that because I've heard stories on on some movies where animals were killed to make a movie,
Yeah.
you know, um, which is not impressive. I heard the story, of course, the movie Cannibal Holocaust, which I haven't seen, where there was like 4 or 5 different animals killed to make that movie.
Oh my God, like nothing's worth that. Nothing is worth a person being hurt, an animal being hurt. Nothing is worth that. No story is worth that at all,
Exactly,
ever.
exactly. So I could definitely appreciate them getting involved, but it is funny, like in Conan the Barbarian, watching the horses kind of get up and just like saunter off. So they were hurt, obviously, but there was more than one horse I noticed do it when I was kind of paid attention to it. But anyway, how's the COVID situation in Toronto right now? I was there last fall and I was actually at a street Halloween party with I think it was on Church Street, I think. I was there with Lisa and one of her friends, and I gotta admit, I've never been to a street Halloween party before. It was kind of
Right,
cool.
right.
I actually filmed it on my camera or
Oh, wow.
on my phone, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I never felt intimidated. Like here in Fredericton and New Brunswick, we kind of got the jump on the COVID situation, and I didn't have COVID, knock on wood, and I may have had my shots, but when I went to Toronto, I mean, it was just kind of like an everyday thing for me, I just went and did what I always did, and but what's it like there in Toronto now? Are the restrictions getting lifted? Or things clearing up?
Some are, some aren't. I wear my mask even when I take the garbage out. I wear a mask. I mean, I'm never outside my house without a mask. It's mandated on the public transit. You have to wear a mask. Half the people aren't. I know most of the theaters in town, the live theaters, you have to be masked the whole time, not under your nose, like the whole mask. And many of them are still asked for vaccine passports to get in. Some stuff is being lifted, but I was weird. The virus hasn't gone anywhere. So, I know people are annoyed with wearing masks, but the virus hasn't gone anywhere. So, I don't know. I think I'm going to be wearing my mask for a long time, I think. Yeah.
I got some special masks made. I
Right.
got one of the Blues Brothers. I got one of the
Okay.
Big Lebowski,
Okay.
which make some pretty good conversation pieces when I'm out and around.
Absolutely. It's a new fashion thing. Yeah.
But when I was in Toronto, before Lisa and I went to Niagara Falls for Frightmare in the Falls, we stopped off and I had a T-shirt made with her face on it from class of 1984.
Oh, wow.
But as an added bonus, I had a face mask made with her face on it. So Lisa didn't get a face mask made. She did get a T-shirt made, but I was
Right.
like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the face mask.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I've done that. I'll wear a mask if I'm when I work at the hospital, I have to wear a mask,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
But
Yes.
out and around, we're not restricted to do that right now, but maybe it's because New Brunswick is a smaller place, but if I'm asked to wear a mask, I wear it, no,
Sure.
yeah,
Sure. Well, I
but
wear it going for walks. I wear it all the time, just in case. I know enough people that have had it. I
mhm.
had it, but very mildly. I know somebody who didn't make it because of COVID. So I just, no, I'm going to wear a mask. Totally.
I don't blame you. I
Yeah.
don't blame you. Yep. Yep. Well, what do you have coming up in the future? You got any projects coming up that you want to plug and promote on here?
Uh, just at the moment, the only thing is I start in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be doing the play Driving Miss Daisy up in Aurelia, and then we go to Meaford. So that's really fun. I just got back from doing a play in Prince George, BC. I did on Golden Pond out there. So that was really fun. So I've got the theater projects and I've just auditioned for a couple of really good film stuff, but I haven't heard yet. So fingers crossed. So just keep on keeping on.
Absolutely. You got any charities that you want to promote on here that you're fond of?
Oh, wow. Interesting. My charities that I love are Covenant House, which is for the kids to help kids get off the streets. Scott Mission, which is for people that live on the streets. They feed people and help find them homes, but mostly it's about feeding them. I love the Salvation Army because they've done wonderful stuff in prisons. They treat the guys in prisons with respect. So I love the Salvation Army for that. And the ACTRA Fraternal Benefit Society that helps actors that, or anybody in the business that's having a really rough go. They'll help pay some bills if people are having a tough time. So what a lovely thing to ask about
I always
charities.
I always ask people about charities,
What are your favorite charities?
I am very much an advocate for mental health, especially with suicide and depression.
Yeah,
Yep. So
that's great.
I'm actually coaching a Canadian actress right now who I remained in contact with because she lost somebody close to her and her family, and she's had a tough time dealing with it.
Right.
I called her a couple Christmas ago, just to wish her Merry Christmas, and I was just small talking her about what was going on in my family because my dad and whatnot, and she just broke down, and she said she felt so sad for me because she mentioned that she was lost her stepfather that she was very close with, and she's had having a hard time dealing with it. And
Yeah.
so I put her on my prayer list. And I actually have heard from her recently, she's keeping it together, and she wants me to keep praying for her because she said she's got her off days. But judging from her text, though, I think that I think she's going to pull through. But one thing I know about depression, I've been there.
Mhm.
I've been there. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. The problem is you don't know when it's going to come.
That's right. How long the tunnel is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she the reason she still remains in contact with me is because she knows I've beaten it a couple times. And I told her, I said, contact me if you need to talk. And I've gotten a text or two from her here and there where I'm having a really tough struggle today. Would you say a special prayer for me today? Keep me in your thoughts today. And I would do that.
Mhm.
One thing I've learned about prayer, I grew up in a Christian home. And one of the things I learned about prayer, it's I think it's even more powerful when other people help you do it.
Mhm.
I've noticed that in my own life. So so I do that with her, and so yeah, I'm very mindful of that. I especially now, like when I grew up, we still had typewriters. Now with social media and cyberbullying, you're seeing a lot of people taking their own lives. And as somebody who was bullied growing up, like I never ever attempted suicide in my life growing up. I talked a lot about it, but talk is cheap.
Mhm.
But now at 50, well, going to be 50, I look back and I think of some of the stuff I've conquered.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, you can make it. It's a matter of holding on. But one thing I remember with depression, I remember there was one morning I woke up and I felt fine.
Mhm.
And the next time I get hit with depression, the one thing that came to mind was, as I thought about that first time when I woke up that morning and had no signs of it.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of waiting it out. Waiting it out. It's like being in the trenches of the Vietnam War, Not that I was at that, but it's like you're waiting for this all to end. Can I survive it? And so I'm a big advocate for that.
Right.
Yeah. So
Good.
yeah. But I find depression's not taken very seriously, and I think that everybody needs an opportunity to know that they're valuable.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
look at my cat. My cat is hiding away because when he gets close to me, he knows I'm going to stick him on camera. But my cat is a rescue.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
lovely.
and if I didn't rescue take my cat in, who knows what his life would be. Like well, it's kind of like with people. You got to think outside the surface of them you
Mhm.
know but I like the charities that you're involved with. When I was in Toronto, the homeless situation, I noticed
Yeah.
all over the place, and we have it here too.
Yeah. Everywhere.
Yep.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
That's right.
You got a web page that you want to plug and promote on here?
I'm so bad with social media. No, I'm an old dinosaur when it comes to that. I don't have a web page or anything like that.
I
No.
don't either. My younger brother's my tech guy, and
Yes.
yeah, I know nothing about that either, so no,
But
no.
lovely to talk to you. Lovely to meet you.
You know what? Thanks for getting back to me. Yeah,
Okay.
I know you were very apologetic, but like I said, it was an open invitation. I mean,
Right.
I was more than happy to have you on and talk about the gate, you
Right.
know. 35 years old. Of course, the Rowdyman, 50 years old. That thing's as old as
Can't believe
me.
it. I
You
can't
know,
believe it. Yeah.
can't believe it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also love the fact that you're in Toronto because I have such fond connections with Toronto. When I was there last, you know what I did?
What?
I filmed myself just talking into my phone
Mhm.
at the airport, on the plane, in between stops. And yeah, I even filmed myself on the escalators, you know, and
Right,
talking about I did a lot even on the subway, you know, and it's like,
right,
and I had a mask on all the time I did it. And even at Union Station, I gave, you know, where this is where Lisa and I met and this and that. And
right.
I would show off the buildings and whatnot. And the reason I did that is because when I have times here, it gives me a chance to kind of,
To remember.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I did something that some people might consider very pathetic. Um, I missed Toronto so much. I went on YouTube and I watched 20 minutes of subways go back and forth in Toronto just to listen to the
Just
sound.
listen to sound. Wow. Well,
I-
that's great. I suspect you're going to be here. You're going to be in Toronto one of these days soon. Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what? I'd live there if I could. A lot of people think
yeah.
say I'm crazy for wanting to, but I love Toronto.
It's a great place.
Yes, I love
Anyway,
it.
take care. Lovely to chat to you.
Well, before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Sure. What do I do?
Just state your name
Okay.
and say we're celebrating the 35th anniversary of the Gate,
Okay.
and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Okay. Linda Goranson. We're here celebrating the 35th anniversary of the Gate. I can't believe that. And I'm here talking to Greg Gilbert of Python Paradise.
Perfect. Perfect.
All
Linda,
right.
thank you so much for coming on here today. And I hope they
Thank
bring you
you.
back to Horror-rama.
Me too. Good to meet
Yes.
you. Bye,
Take
Greg.
care. God bless.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.